All right. Hey guys, this is going to be episode number 2 for me and Jeff. We're going to kind of dive into our week 2 matchups, and we're also trying a new platform. So bear with us. We were using Podbean at first, but we really want to do some video content for you guys, and we're really excited about how this one's turning out so far. So I guess I'll let Jeff kind of take it away here first, but we're going to talk about some of the matchups that are currently going on. We've got the Sunday night game starting in 18 minutes. So, yeah, take it away, Jeff.
So I've got a split screen setup, and you should be able to see our league's homepage. And this is going to display what is currently happening in our week 2 matchups, and it even shows where each team is in the current standings and how they're performing this week. And it looks like there's only going to be possibly one team to start the year 0-2, which is pretty incredible because there's, most years you'll get a couple of 2-0 and 0-2s, but this could be the first year where we only have one, and that lucky winner might be Jonas. So,
oh man, Jonas is fuming. I can imagine. Yeah, that's going to be crazy. So,
yeah, and I wanted to dive into that matchup first because Jonas at the moment does carry a 10-point lead, but DJ has Tyreek Hill left. Cameron, I was going to ask you this. Do you think, let's see, so he had Addison on his bench. I don't know if there was anywhere you could have plugged in Addison this week, not with Jonas's current receivers.
Yeah, and we're looking at the left side here. Is that right?
Yes, so Jonas, as indicated here, with this team name.
I just love that team name.
We did learn that he has a pulse.
He does have a pulse, indeed. So that's a good thing for Jonas. But I don't know that I can really blame Jonas for keeping Jordan Addison on the bench. I actually have him in another league, in my sleeper fantasy league, actually, and I kept him on the bench because I wanted to see consistency. And I think a lot of people kind of have a couple of those players in their arsenal where they're going to wait for the first couple of weeks to see what they do. I think Jordan Addison is one of those players. But now you come out of week 2, heading into week 3 after Monday night, feeling like Jordan Addison is a potential flex player. DK Metcalf had the hurt rib today, but I know he did come back in and finish that game. But, going into a week 3 matchup with a potential, injury, do they hold him out? And do you take him out of your lineup? Would you, Jeff?
You already know that it's going to be one of those weeks where he is going to get a lot of rest. He will probably not practice Wednesday, may not practice Thursday, and you always look for that Friday practice. So as long as he gets a limited session in at some point this week, I roll with him. He's the number 1 option on Seattle, so I think you have to play him if he's in the game.
Yeah, that's a hard choice. I mean, Michael Pittman, another solid showing. He's, easily their wide receiver number 1. Anthony Richardson did get put out after the second quarter today with a possible concussion.
Yep.
And that's a tough day from AJ Brown. But I feel like it's going to kind of go like that most of the season, where AJ has his day and you don't see much from Smitty. And vice versa. And I think that happened to Jonas this week, unfortunately. DJ's just going to be tough to beat. He's got such an explosive team. The one thing, Trevor Lawrence and the Jags didn't have that great of a day, but you had Chris Jones coming back for the Chiefs defense. So I can maybe see why that didn't turn out too great. But, Tyreek Hill is already on pace to hit that 2,000-yard mark like he's been talking about. If I heard correctly, he just needs to average 111 receiving yards per game for the rest of the season to accomplish that. And if that's what he does every week, DJ's going to have an edge on a lot of people.
Yeah, and, with 2,000 yards in a season, him having already 200 plus in one game, that 111 seems really obtainable. Um,
100%.
I am really excited for that Sunday night game tonight. So we'll see. We'll see how, if Tua can keep the momentum going, carry it from last week. And because, Bill Belichick, they're going to double him and give them some looks. And, I just don't you can't go wrong against a Belichick defense. He'll have something for Tyreek Hill tonight. So we'll see. But
Yeah.
I imagine Tyreek's going to get at least 100.
Well, he did make a comment saying, send 2 people, cover me with 3 people. I'm still going to find ways to get open. And I believe that because they find ways to get Tyreek open, and he's going to find ways on his own to get open, But, typically with receivers like him, you want to be able to press up on him and jam him off the line if you're a physical corner. But they send him in motion a lot, and it's hard to be able to press up on Tyreek when he's doing that. And if you miss him, see you later. He's running by you, and that's
you're gonna pay.
You're gonna pay big time. A couple of other really bright spots on DJ's team. Devontae Adams had a great showing, scored the first touchdown of the game for Las Vegas. Bijan dominated today. Atlanta comes out with another win. They start the season 2-0. You got to be, on cloud 9 if you're a Falcons fan.
Wow.
I don't either, honestly, but it's happening. And I'm kind of sad because you guys know I picked up Algier off the waiver wire, hoping that he would have a great day. And honestly, he did. He had one more carry than he did last week. He didn't score at all and didn't gain as many yards as I was hoping he was going to. But, it still looks like they're going to split carries there, but good for DJ. He's got a solid, RB1 option.
And he should be thanking Jonas for that solid one, top running back option, because Jonas traded DJ Bijan on draft night. So
he sure did.
I'm sure Jonas is maybe not regretting it too much. He still has Swift, and he has Swift.
And he has Swift.
Yeah. Maybe he shouldn't. Yeah. We'll see. We'll see what happens with that trade. He got gosh, I can't remember who he got out of that trade. I know he got Smith and Jigba. I actually think he got Swift from DJ in that. So that was part of the piece. But
yeah,
like I said, we'll see how it happens. It's very early in the year. I can't wait to see what Jonas has to say, because in regards to Kyle Pitts, because this is the second year in a row he took him, and
still not really
here,
350. 2 catches, 15 yards, and what kind of day did Drake London finish with? Didn't he have maybe like a 10-point day?
No. So I can actually, he is on Skunk's roster, and thank goodness he did not play him, because Drake London had 16.
Okay.
But look at Nico Collins.
God, Nico had a day. And their rookie receiver, Tank Dell, had a good day as well. So, the Houston Texans offense, I think, came out and really surprised today, even though they took an L. CJ Stroud looked pretty good through the air. You had a couple of their receivers that had a big day, Nico being one of them. If you're Skunk next week, he's rolling with Nico in his flex, and he takes A.J. Dillon out.
I would imagine.
You're gonna see Aaron Jones come back, the following week for sure, which is going to put me in a better position, because it hurt not having Aaron in my starting lineup today, as you could. We'll see that in a minute.
Well, I can sort of sympathize with you, because if you look here with Russell Wilson, leaving 40 on my bench is never fun. And that's why I was really considering playing him, because Deshaun, I like Cleveland, but when I got the news that Amari Cooper was possibly out, I thought, do I make this change? But I just decided not to. I don't know what it was. I just think the Commanders are a decent defense, and I just did not foresee Russell Wilson and the Broncos having as much success as they did.
I don't blame you. I couldn't have really seen that coming either. No way did I think that was going to be a high-scoring game.
Absolutely not.
just based off of their past season with Russell, it just seems like they have a lot of struggles even scoring, putting up points on the board. So, he's another one of those players, kind of like Jordan Addison. Right now, you just kind of wait and see what kind of year Denver's having. And
Right.
it wasn't a bad showing for him fantasy-wise, but doesn't that kick off the year 0-2 for Denver?
Denver is now 0-2 with losses to Vegas and now the Commanders. So not where you want to be. Sean Payton's first year, a lot of people had some high expectations or at least some high hopes, and so far it's not been as promising as they had hoped to start with.
Yep, and on the opposite end of that, you've got if you're a Commanders fan, you're very happy because you're starting out the season 2-0.
Yep, another thing I just cannot figure out: the Falcons and the Commanders are 2-0.
2-0. Would not have guessed that in a million years.
But yeah, so although this live projection shows us just a 7-point, possible win for Dunk, I just feel like he's in the driver's seat because I would need quite a bit from the remaining players I have. I would need the Saints to pick apart Bryce Young, and there's a part of me that kind of doesn't want that to happen. So, I don't know.
Yeah, if you're an Alabama fan, you're hoping for the best for Bryce Young after a tough week 1 loss. But if your fantasy team means more to you,
at this moment in time, it does.
It does. Then you want the Saints to shut out Carolina on the road, and maybe have a night like Dallas had week 1.
I would be all for that because I would just love to sneak one away here. I'm obviously on the wrong side of these projections, so if the Saints want to surprise everybody and just go out and shut them out, I'm all for it.
Do you think Shaheed has a similar night as he did in week 1?
I do not. I think he is going to get the stomach bug and he will not play. Well, I think he's going to be heavily utilized, unfortunately, because if the way they moved him in the offense around last week, like I was talking about, I still need a lot from the 4 that I have left, and I still have to worry about Shaheed because he's going to be just all over the field, getting different looks, and I worry about Carolina's ability to keep him sort of contained. So,
yeah, and now that we learned in week 1, as you mentioned on our last episode, you do get points for return yards. So
you do. Yes.
He is their return man. We could see some points not only from the receiving end, but from being just a returner as well. So, I mean, you've got a chance. That's, the one thing that you could say, for your team. I have 0 chance. I'm pretty sure Yahoo said I have a 1% chance of coming back. And that's if for some wild reason Hunter Henry just has the game of the decade, and that's not going to happen. So,
yeah, it says you are a 1% favorite to win your game.
I mean, Broles and his team, tip of the hat to you, Broles. You did your thing, and my team fell flat on its face, and we're both going to start our season 1-1. So Travis actually, came out and played pretty flat for him. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Jeff.
Oh, I was just going to say, we've kind of joked how Broles had the best draft out of everybody. He was projected to go 13-1 in the regular season, and he's kind of been battling the injury bug with his team. And I'm not sure if you saw the end of that Giants game, but Saquon Barkley looked visibly hurt.
Yeah, he threw his helmet down on the ground, so that looks like a serious injury. Hopefully not a season-ending one if you're Rules, but yeah, did not look good. Have we gotten any update on what that injury is?
This is pretty weird. I just got an update. This says that there's a short turnaround this week, so they must be the Thursday night game. I cannot remember who the Thursday night game is this week. But according to Schefter, he limped around the locker room and it was a bit swollen. Clearly, he had some pain and discomfort. They said that this is definitely a concern for the Giants and Barkley moving forward.
Yeah, Jeff, they've got a tough Thursday night game at San Francisco.
Oh, wow. So
for New York, good good for them that they had, their biggest comeback in their franchise since I think they said the 70s.
Yeah, I'm, this game was so confusing because I don't understand how the Cardinals got up 20-0 at one point, and then how did the Giants come back and win the game?
I know.
This game was just. I'm gonna have to go watch this one back again just to see how it all unfolded. But boy, if you're a Cardinals fan or if you're a player in that locker room, you are sick because you're pretty much already ruled out as a non-contender this year, and to have a lead and look solid in one half and completely just let off the gas or just you can't find it in the second half, it's just demoralizing.
Yeah, and I didn't see all of that game either. I saw glimpses here and there because I have Red Zone and keep up with a lot of the teams that way. But Josh Dobbs did not look bad. I kind of completely underestimated how he would perform, and he hasn't looked bad. I mean, he's hitting open guys, and I think their third down conversion percentage this game was pretty high, and a lot of the times they were passing on third down. So,
Dobbs for the day, 21 of 31 for 228 and a touchdown, and he added 41 rushing yards and another touchdown, no turnover. So
that's a big game from your quarterback. You're missing, you're down and out because you're missing Kyler, but for your backup that you kind of gambled on to come in and play like that, you're hopeful at least.
Yeah, and you can't really ask for a much better performance. I mean, obviously 228 is not going to blow anybody out of the water, but for the position that Dobbs is in, he's just now getting to where he's starting some games. I know he came on last year towards the end of the season for the Titans. But yeah, nothing wrong with his performance. He did everything they could have asked him to do and then some. So I wouldn't put this loss on them or on Dobbs himself. But
yeah,
like I said, I didn't see the second half. I'd have to go back and look at some of the game script and see what kind of plays were being called. So just a tough one for the Cardinals today for sure.
Definitely. I'm looking at our matchup further, and the one thing that stood out to me about Broles' team in Week 1 is that, number one, his starting receivers for his league is T. Higgins and Gabe Davis, who are both respective number 2 wide receivers for both of their teams. Correct me if I'm wrong on that. Is that right?
No, yeah, because the first option is Jamar Chase, and then, of course, Diggs. So, yeah, they're the second option, wide receiver 2, however you'd like to put it.
Yeah, and they did not have a good Week 1, but they turned around and had a phenomenal game today. As Higgins had 2 touchdowns today, 8 receptions. Gabe Davis with a receiving touchdown and nearly 100 yards through the air. So his receivers really showed out today. Josh Reynolds, that is just honestly, Broles. Again, tip of the hat to you. The fact that you played Josh Reynolds in your flex, I don't know what you were thinking there, but you were spot on as he caught 2 touchdowns today.
Yeah, I want to see.
I was going to say, will you pull up his bench?
Oh my god!
Because dude, he has Puka Nacua. He could have easily put in Puka, which would have been the better play here, honestly. But you feel pretty confident if you're Broles.
I mean, Otwell on there. What's he? He's got Van Jefferson. He's got the entire
minus Cooper Kupp, and I was looking at that last night. He's got the entire LA Rams receiving core. So whatever, Broles.
I mean, I can't believe he didn't play. How do you pronounce that dude's name?
Puka Nacua.
Nacua. Is his first name really Puka? Wow, it is.
Yep. And I'm pretty sure I heard today that he is the leading rookie receiver for most receptions through 2 games. I forget.
No, he had 15 catches.
Yep.
It's like they have this is like Cooper Kupp 2.0.
Yep. Rookie out of, what is it, UCLA?
Let me look. BYU.
BYU. Man.
Shout out Max.
Shout out Max for sure. Yeah, just kind
Yeah.
of disappointed with the day Algier had. I mean, Joshua Kelly, he had the lead role today with Eckler being gone. Thought that was going to be, a solid choice to
I'm really
make.
surprised that that's just his stat line, just 39 rushing yards, nothing in the receiving game. That's really surprising.
I know.
I wonder if he had
And
like any targets. Let me look real quick. And
Pacheco had an average day, 70 yards on the ground, one catch. I mean, just everybody.
yeah,
Ayuk had a
Kelly
bad
had
game.
one target in the passing game. So yeah, definitely expected more out of Josh Kelly in Eckler's absence, but I don't know. Once you get Aaron Jones back, it'll be more balanced, with the 1-2 punch of Jones and Pacheco.
Mm-hmm.
Your flex will be open. DJ Moore actually had a solid outing today, so that's always an option moving forward for you.
I really
Um,
considered putting him in today, but again, I just thought, with the carries he had in week one, it would be a solid option. And again, he got the carries today. He just couldn't get over 50 yards on the ground, unfortunately. And they utilized Bijan in the red zone a little more, and he executed very well.
you had to be
I've got
happy that
Hunter.
Kelsey was still kind of quiet. First came
Oh, it
back,
was.
time to get sort of, back into the groove. But, if you get away with Kelsey only getting 10 points against you, it's honestly a win.
Yeah, you could tell Patty tried to, or the game plan at least going into that was to feed Kadarius Toney initially to try to build some confidence after a rough start in week one. Dropping 4 passes that were thrown to him. So
Such a weird game in Jacksonville today.
Yeah, it really was. Scott Moore had a really good game.
Yeah, he
So
did. 3 for 70 and a touchdown.
seems like that's somebody that Patty can definitely rely on. You see that he threw to his own lineman today.
Oh, some of the commentary on Twitter was absolutely killing me.
He was like, he caught the ball and he was so panicked. Like, what do
It's
I
like the
do?
ball just absorbed into his body, and he just kept standing there and it was incredible to see live.
Yeah, it was. That was pretty funny, honestly. The one thing that I'm interested in, this is definitely a loss for me coming out of week 2, and I'm okay with that. But the one thing I'm interested to learn is I got rid of the tight end I originally drafted, and I picked up Hunter Henry and Hayden Hurst. So I'd love to see who I can rely on in my tight end spot. Every year, I don't know why I do this to myself, but I put myself in a position where I have just an iffy tight end, and
I was just
I'm
sitting here
hoping
thinking who you drafted, but I just remembered it was Komet.
it was Komet, and I just don't feel good about what I saw from the Chicago Bears passing game week 1. What did Cole Komet actually do today?
Yeah, that's what I was just gonna try to go find real quick. Just see if we can just search for him and see if we can find what his output was today.
5 catches, 44.
Mm-hmm.
That's 9.4.
Yeah.
So with 7 targets, that's honestly, I want to say he did the same thing in week 1. So at least he's getting consistent 5 to 7 targets. But after watching week 1 with the Pats offense, I feel like people are really underestimating Mac Jones and how good he is and what he can do with that offense. So I'm thinking that Hunter Henry's going to get a lot of red zone targets. We're going to see Kendrick Bourne do pretty well. Juju just did not look good to me in week number 1.
Yeah. Not that great of a start for Juju in this offense. And, you have some high hopes. New England the past few years has lacked a top target, and you kind of hope Juju could step into that role, and he still might. But I really liked how Kendrick Bourne looked, and maybe that even helps Juju a little bit. So we'll find out. Has the game started?
Sure. Say that one more time.
Yeah, the Pats and the Dolphins have kicked off, because I was like, I've got an extra point, but I forgot Amandre Stevenson is going for me.
He certainly is. I'm interested to see how they do this game. Mac Jones takes a sack. So let's dive into our next matchup. Who are we going with?
Let's go look at Sloman and Burleson.
And actually, before we dive fully into this, Jeff, if you don't mind, of the two matchups that we just covered, we put out who our predictions were going to be for each matchup. Have we hit on everyone?
Let's see. So I think we both agreed to give the edge to DJ.
Yes, we did.
I'm trying to remember what we said in Robbie and Parson.
I want to say that we went with Robbie on this one.
Okay. So that one,
we both chose Sloman to win his matchup.
Yeah, I think we both went Sloman.
I think we both picked
Trey.
Yes, we did. We both picked Trey. Looks like that is gonna happen. Well, I mean, Kevin has a chance. Trey's done for the day.
Yeah, okay, so Kevin has George Pickens left while Trey is done. So he needs roughly 14.5 out of Pickens tomorrow night.
He could have a couple of big plays and he beats Trey.
Yeah. I think Pickens could get 14.5. As long as
so too.
As long as the Pittsburgh that played last week doesn't show up this week. They struggled last week.
And I think we said that I would win my matchup, but Brules is coming out of this week victorious. So
yeah, and I can't remember what we said for mine. I don't even know if we predicted mine.
We did. I chose you winning the matchup.
Well, thanks a lot.
Yeah. Well, again, you still have a chance.
Yeah, I mean, it's not out. It's not over with. But boy, if I could have that 40 spot right here in the quarterback section, I would feel like it should be almost.
Let's talk about who the Browns have at receiver, with Amari Cooper missing.
Yeah,
who's he going to be feeding?
I would imagine that you're going to see a heavy dose of Donovan Peoples-Jones and Elijah Moore. And then hopefully, for my sake, you get a lot of Njoku. I assume
he's a big target.
A big role. So, yep. Amari Cooper's absence will certainly hurt, but there are guys who can step in and fill that void. And I don't know if you saw this, but they're revealing their all-white uniforms tomorrow night.
That's gonna be clean.
Yeah, I've never seen them. I've seen some photos, but I could be wrong. I don't remember seeing the Cleveland Browns in like a white helmet at any time in my lifetime. So that'll be fun.
Okay, so sorry to kind of mess up the flow of what we were doing, so we can dive back into that matchup that you had pulled up originally.
Oh yeah, let's see. I think that was Sloman and Burleson.
Sure was.
And Miami just got a 4th down stop, so we're about to see Tua and Waddle come out there for Burleson. And if the Patriots are really planning to just go all out and try to cover up Tyreek, this could get interesting if Tua and Jalen begin connecting. And I know Sloman will have to sit there and sweat it out.
Yep, if I'm Sloman, I am sweating it out right now because that Tua Jalen stack could pose to be pretty lethal. And that's ignoring the fact that he still has both of his running backs that haven't even played. I don't think that either of those guys had monster weeks, but that's not to say that they can't have an amazing game this week. So
that's how it can be sometimes because, I mean, one week it's, the ceiling is – there is no, ceiling. And you could see Najee and Miles Sanders bounce back from their lackluster performances from last week.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see if
man, that day that the Keenan Allen had 8 receptions, 111 yards, 2 touchdowns.
Boy, Sloman got some nice production from his receiver 1 and 2 today.
He's feeling good about Debo after his lackluster week 1.
Oh, yeah, because there's just so many mouths to feed in the 49ers offense, and Debo's been, towards the end of last year, he was a little quiet, and then, last week he was, what do you have, like 10 or 12? Something
hmm
manageable. So I'm sure Sloman's just really excited to see Debo hit that 20-point mark, knowing that still has that explosiveness, is still heavily involved. Um, so I'm sure he'll be excited about that moving forward.
Who does Sloman have on his bench? Are you starting Jerry Judy in week 3 if
I
you're Sloman?
In week 3, maybe. I will say this,
Kind of
Michael
hard not
Thomas.
to.
Yeah, it's hard not to, but I kind of like Michael Thomas. I thought he looked pretty. He wasn't. He didn't blow it out of the water last week by any means, but he kind of looked like his old self, the one that was just setting new records every year for most catches in the league. So we'll see how he looks tomorrow night. If Michael Thomas has another double-digit PPR performance, maybe he throws him in there week 3.
Yeah, that looks like really his only option until that Chiefs offense really finds an identity, has some kind of consistency. They did have a win today, but it's still, from a fantasy perspective, you're not really feeling good about any particular running back in this situation. Pacheco has been, you know, I wouldn't say subpar, but he's been just average through week 1 and week 2. You feel good about, Travis Kelce is always going to do his thing. This was just his first game back. I expect that he gets heavily targeted throughout the season and does Travis Kelce things. Sky Moore would feel really good about having him. He seems to be the one bright spot in that receiving core right now with
Right.
everything that's going on. But yeah, that Chiefs offense is not looking like the Super Bowl champions, that they were last year at
I
this
don't
point.
understand why they don't get Pacheco more involved in the passing game. Like,
I don't either.
even going back to last year, he was just not heavily targeted. They didn't set up anything like screen game, check down. There's not a whole lot of, seems like want to get him the ball in the passing game. And I just don't understand that.
I don't either, but we'll see how that develops throughout the year. Kind of looking through the rest of his roster here, Kenny Walker had a pretty good showing today. They
Yeah,
definitely want
touchdowns.
to get him the ball in the red zone. It seems.
Look at Josh Jacobs, -2 rushing yards on the day.
Mm.
I
How
want
many
to know how many.
carries did he get?
Yeah, that was what I was going to go to next. I want to know how many attempts he had. He had 9 carries.
9 carries for -2 yards.
That's a
Man,
tough outing.
that Buffalo defense, looking pretty good.
Yeah, it was good to see Josh Allen kind of rebound from his tough performance in week 1. He ended up throwing 3 touchdowns.
And I
Gosh,
said last week, or not last week, but earlier, on episode 1 that he would go nuclear. And I was wrong, but I wasn't, all the way wrong. He still had 3 passing touchdowns and had a much better performance this time than that week 1 showing. So,
oh yeah, I mean 31 of 37 for 3 touchdowns, no turnovers. I'm sure the Bills fans were very relieved to see him kind of return to what we're used to seeing from him.
oh yeah.
It's like Waddle's got to catch early.
Yep. Moving in the right direction for DB.
That'll be interesting tomorrow for Sloman having Cleveland's defense because he'll get a quick 16 points to start the game, and it'll fluctuate. So if Sloman and Burleson are in a tight race, while Burleson's got both of his starting running backs going, I'll be glued to our group text if
Yeah. Definitely. And one thing that if I'm this team's particular fan, and I hate even saying this because my brother can just be very exhausting when it comes to this topic, but kudos to the Dallas Cowboys right now, and I know you're happy about that, Jeff. Their defense looks unstoppable right now. I'm not saying that the New York Jets offense is anything to brag about right now with them having just Zach Wilson at the helm and Aaron Rodgers being out for the year. But through 2 games, to shut out New York, to hold, both New York teams, to 10 points through 2 games. I mean, 3 sacks, 3 interceptions. Who had the picks for Dallas today?
So I know Malik Hooker had one. Trayvon Diggs had one. I cannot remember who had the other one. I know Parsons had a fumble recovery.
Mm-hmm.
And he's just a monster. He was chasing Zach Wilson all day. He drew a couple of different holding calls. I mean, he is just a freak.
Let's see. Show me interceptions. Jaron Curse, Trayvon Diggs, Malik Hooker.
Okay, Curse was the other one. That's right.
Yep. I mean, y'all just have playmakers all over the field.
And real quick, I know this will be something to monitor, but, first drive, Tyreek's already got 2.5 points.
One catch for 15 yards.
I'm telling you, I mean, with DJ being just down less than 8 points.
That gives Jonas, let's just go ahead and call it like it is. Unless there is an injury in this game, guys, Jonas, you take a week 2 loss and DJ improves to 1-1, like a lot of people in our league will. Again,
I just wonder, with that being the case, with Jonas potentially being the only 0-2 team, does he start panicking and start seeking out trade partners?
Yep, he's going to do exactly what, and this is just me being assumptuous. I don't know what Jonas is going to do, but I would assume that he tries to pull a stunt like Broyles did and try to go, for picks in next year, and hoping that there are some league managers out there that want to potentially sacrifice some picks to make a run for this year's championship. But honestly, if I'm Jonas, I'm not making that call. I think it's too early to sink your own ship. This is week 2. Have some composure about yourself, Jonas. Step outside and smoke a cig like it's going to be all right, okay? I promise. So just you've got some time.
I tend to agree because, being 0-2, it's easy to overreact, but I think Jonas can still accomplish plenty with his roster. And, wouldn't be wrong, or if he wants to maybe package a couple of players for an upper level player, nothing wrong with that. So we'll see what happens. And, this game is still playing. Who knows? Patriots may blanket Tyreek after all, but no reason to hit the panic button after 2 weeks. Now, when we reach week 4 and he's 0-4, yeah, it's time to panic.
Yeah.
If he's 0-4 is what I'm trying to say before he even texts me later and says, you've already got me written off this year. That's not the case. I'm just saying now is not the time to panic.
It's not. I agree with you. It's too early to panic, guys. That's why, I wanted to beat you really bad today, Broyles, but, you're going to have down weeks in fantasy. Slowman had, I think his down week in week 1. And if there's going to be any game that you want to get out of the way, it's going to be the early games, and you want to try to find who your core team is really going to be, and you're going to get a chance to see that through the first 3 or 4 games through the season. So this is about being an active league manager, managing your team closely, who's getting all the targets, who's injured, keeping up with all of those kind of updates, and trying to snag a
ton of money on the waiver wire like I did this week.
I have 5 waiver wire dollars left.
Yeah, you are the first one that comes up on the standings list, and as you can see, we get $100 every year to spend on free agents for the entire year.
Yep.
And you spent $95 in the first week of free agency.
And you always want to see how that pays off for you the following week that you make that happen. And I'm not pleased with it just yet. But I'm saying that because I haven't seen Kendrick Bourne play. And he was included in some of that waiver wire pickups. The other two were obviously Joshua Kelly and Algier, and they had not great weeks.
Just 1 week.
Yeah, I know. I think we're going to see.
The
Yeah, go ahead.
Dolphins were not able to punch it in. They had to settle for a 23-yard field goal. So 3 minutes left in the first. Dolphins lead 3-0.
Mm-hmm.
So we will see what the Patriots can do on their next upcoming drive. And just to quick recap on the waiver wire. Burleson, Parson, DJ, Robbie, and Trey still have all of their money for the year. Everybody else has spent at least $15.
Mm-hmm.
The next closest one's 85. Skunk and Jonas each have 85, and then it's just it varies from there. But plenty of activity early on.
How did Javonte turn out today, Jeff? I know you dropped 55 on him.
Wasn't what I had in mind. Then again, I did not start him today. I don't know if
you're just adding depth.
Yeah, it's really a depth thing. Because obviously I took Jonathan Taylor in the draft, so having another starter on my bench will really help. And then in the meantime, I picked up Zach Moss about a week ago, and he looked very, very good today.
Yeah, he did. Are you starting him in your flex over Marquise Brown?
I don't know yet. I am actually, now that I have managed to get Javonte, I'm actually pretty happy with my running back room. And my dream scenario right now, Zach Moss continues to play well. Indianapolis ships Jonathan Taylor, and that just gives me another RB1. So, Indianapolis, if you're listening, please find Jonathan Taylor at home. Let Zach Moss just continue to do what he did today.
Jeff, unfortunately, I've got to step away for a work call really quick. This is going to take just a second. If you just want to continue to go through some of these stats, give me just a second.
I'll hold it down.
Thank you.
But yeah, Indianapolis it would be. Hang on. I think I am. I can hear it. Go. Yeah. See if we can. Trying to see if it's any better. It does not sound. Anyway. Getting back to Indianapolis. That would just be the ideal situation for me and my fantasy team, but I just don't think they care about my fantasy team that much. So,
and your co-host has joined back. Typically, your co-host doesn't walk off the show, but it just happened. So sorry about that, guys. I am back in the game.
That is perfectly fine work. I get it. But yeah, let's see what else we can. What have we not covered?
I mean, I think we've kind of dived into every matchup actually at this point. Some of them a little bit more brief than others. We spent just a little bit of time on Trey and Kevin's matchup, but it looks like I think the gist of that is Kevin has George Pickens left, and all he really has to come up with is roughly 14 points, and that's definitely doable. So if you're Kevin, you at least have hope. If you're Trey, you're sweating this one out, and you have Kevin that potentially starts out the season 2-0. And
one of them, of course, obviously will go to 2-0, and it looks, at least based on projections, that matchup will give us the only 2-0 team in the league.
I was about to say, unless for some reason Robbie's team can't make up this 11-point gap that they have right now, but I seriously doubt that happening. So, I mean, it looks like Tyler is going to take another or take a loss for the first time this season.
Yeah, because what did we say? Olave and Chubb. Okay, so Between those
yeah.
two, Robbie just needs 11, so that feels pretty secure.
Sorry, man. Tyler, I could be putting my foot in my mouth right now, but you're taking an L, buddy, and you go to 1-1, and as does Robbie. But dude, this game was a shootout.
Oh yeah, this was by far the most, at least in terms of both teams having
Mm-hmm.
high productivity this week. Yeah, this one was the shootout of the week.
So it looks like
Cameron,
the two
I just noticed
teams.
something about your
Yeah.
team. You got the most moves in the league.
And that's, there's probably a good and bad side to that decision. And, some of that is like, am I panicking and shipping off the wrong people? I am the one who dropped Javonte Williams. And in the back of my head, I thought that might have been the wrong move. But you kind of have to gamble and take chances on people that you feel like are going to get heavy production. And I can at least say that I am very active, and I try to make moves that are going to, that's going to put my team in the best position to make the playoffs this year, and give myself a chance. And I'm going to continue to do that. So,
Yeah, and one thing I would take away with your team is that you're 1-0 in your division, and that'll be big. Moving forward, is that you got that week 1 division win.
Losing to Brules is not the end of the world because he is not in my division, so at least it doesn't affect my playoff chances. It just kind of gives me an L to somebody that, obviously I was talking shit to, but I guess karma came right back around. So, again, kudos to you, Mr. Brules. Yeah.
Yeah, I'll be 0-1 in my division if the projections continue to stay the way they are. So, never a fun way to get the year started by losing your first divisional matchup, but hey, it's week 2. Plenty of time to come back from that.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so it looks like only one team should finish this week as undefeated.
Did you think it was going to be Kevin? I didn't think it was going to be Kevin. Shout out Kevin. Kevin traditionally always has a pretty solid team. I think the Brock Purdy pickup is a good pickup. He didn't have a great day today, but
I do like Kevin's running backs. He's got a 1-2 monster for
Derek and
running.
Tony Pollard. That'll carry you through the season. And Kittle, I think, is going to become more involved in that offense. Having Zay Flowers is an awesome flex play. I think he's going to get a lot of touches this year. I think having San Francisco's defense is also going to be a really great defense to have.
Kamara's sitting down there on his bench. So he'll have Kamara, Henry, and Pollard here in a couple weeks.
Mm-hmm.
And, of course, Amari Cooper missed time. So Kevin's got a pretty solid roster.
Yeah. To me, and he's got Amari that will be coming back soon, but the downside of Kevin's team is really at his receiver spot. And I don't even think they're the worst. I think that Dobbs is going to have his week where he gets some solid production. I'm really interested to see how this Pittsburgh Steelers team plays out. Just don't know how to really feel about them, and we're going to get to see them on Monday night.
2 Monday night games tomorrow night. I don't know why they're doing that in the second week of the year. That's usually a first week of the year thing, but I'm going to try to watch both. It's just kickoff times between the 2 games are an hour apart. So I don't know what the NFL's doing.
So you've got Cleveland at Pittsburgh, and who is the other game?
Saints at Panthers.
Saints at the Panthers. And that is a divisional game.
Yep. Both of them. So it'll be a fun little Monday night for us. 2 NFL games, and then we said the Thursday night game this week is going to be the Giants and the 49ers.
Giants and the 49ers. And even though we saw New York come back and get this win today, there's still just a lot of sloppy ball being played in New York. And they did it against the team that is not seen as a favorite at all in any of their games really this year. So if they don't improve and kind of fix what's going on in New York, they're going to see a 20 or 30 point loss to somebody like San Francisco.
Yeah, I've got all the confidence in the world that San Francisco will just handle their business and they'll beat the
Start the
Giants.
season 3-0
Yeah, they'll beat them by 10 plus, especially without
easily.
Saquon.
Yeah, I think the surprising turnouts of the day, as far as not so much fantasy league matchups, but just the finishes to some of these NFL games today. You had Tennessee getting a win against the Chargers in overtime today.
Yeah, that was a sort of a back and forth game. I will say the Chargers did get up. I can't remember if it was double digits at one point. Let me look real quick. I thought they
Yeah,
got
I'm looking at the box score right now. So in the second quarter, it was 14-10, and then the Titans actually took the lead and made it 17-14. By the time the fourth quarter started, it would have been 24-14.
Oh, okay. This is what I thought. The Chargers jumped out. You know how I hate numbers like this. They were up 11-0. Just makes me want to throw up. At one point, this game was 11-7.
Oh me, 11 to
Make it
7,
make
14-7.
sense.
Oh
But they,
yeah. Here's the
what
scoring summary.
what ended up happening? Chargers scored, and the Titans had a roughing the passer penalty. So by the Chargers accepting that, they could have elected to go for two, and the ball would have, was put at the 1 yard line. So they just went ahead and said, okay, if it's going to go to the 1 yard line, we're just going to go ahead and go for two, and they were successful. So,
How do you feel if you're a Titans fan after seeing Tannehill have a day where he only threw 4 incompletions, had 250 yards through the air, 1 touchdown, but no interceptions?
Yeah, I watched a lot of this game. What you're concerned with is that sack total. Chargers got to him 5 times today. I think Joey Bosa had 2 solo sacks.
That could be why Derrick Henry had 25 carries.
Yeah, for only 80 yards. So that's something that we'll pay attention to in the coming weeks. Offensive line play, it seems like, I don't know, it must be a Southern thing. We won't go into much detail about offensive lines right now, but just know that the Titans need to maybe revamp their offensive line a little bit, or just find where the holes seem to be occurring and just clean those up, tighten up. And if anybody else out there,
see what you did there, Jeff. Tighten up.
Yeah, if anybody listening that is south of Tennessee, but we'll say somewhere in central Alabama, if you want to work on your offensive line, that's fine with me.
That'd be great. Don't want to get too specific, but definitely south of Tennessee, west of Georgia, east of Mississippi, somewhere in that area.
Yeah, if you're you're north of the Gulf of Mexico, west of Atlanta, somewhere right there in the middle. If you just want to fix your offensive line in a hurry, please, that'd be wonderful.
Be really great.
Whoever you are.
Oh, man. Looks like my technology's dying on me here, so we're going to get a quick charge. Going to juice it up.
Yeah, sounds good to me. And real quick, just to update you on the Sunday night game. Looks like the Patriots put together a drive, but it actually ended in a fumble, which was recovered by the Dolphins, who are now conducting a drive of their own. So we will, of course, keep you updated on that game as we continue to move forward. I did want to bring up Sloman and Burleson's matchup again, because it looks like Jalen Waddle has his second catch of the night. Trying to inch closer, bring it a little bit closer to Sloman. Got a little ways to go. I think, what was that, 33?
Mm-hmm. So that was another 10-plus yard catch for
that's a
Jalen, right?
It's getting late. But yeah, so he's still down a good bit, but if you're Burleson, you'll take anything you can get, anything to trim that lead.
Oh yeah, every catch, every completed pass is going to be closing that gap, and you know that just makes Sloman even more nervous than I'm sure he already is right now.
Yeah, I'm thinking that Tua and Jalen are much bigger home run hitters than Najee and Miles Sanders. And look, I'm not trying to knock the running backs, but I'm just suggesting that I just don't think you're going to get 20 out of Najee or Miles Sanders. They might combine for 20. They might go off. They're more likely to get 10 to 12. You're going to need the bulk of your points. If you're Burleson, they're going to come tonight, right now, from Tua and Jalen.
Yeah, this heavy hitting pass offense from Miami has got to get it done if you're Burleson. And you've got to hope and pray that you can hold Pittsburgh, to 10 or less points if you're in Sloman's position. But, you see somebody like Najee Harris score. Not only is Dylan getting points, but points are being taken away from you at the same time.
Right. I did want to switch over real quick because look,
Tyreek Hill has another catch. Mm-hmm. Jonas is inching closer to defeat.
Yeah. Okay, so a touchdown here wouldn't necessarily end it, I don't believe. What am I seeing right now? What is this? Look at that.
Oh, another catch.
27-yard catch.
Golly. Sloman, I don't think it's going to happen, man. I think you go down 0-2 this year, buddy. Oh, man.
It's early, and that's one aspect of this is that it's early, and, we're just 11 minutes left in the first half, and Waddle's got nearly 8.5.
Mm-hmm.
We'll see. There's
plenty of football left to be played.
Yeah, and it's just, boy, I can't wait. I can't wait to see what their matchup looks like when the Sunday night game is over.
Yep. Well, speaking of, since we're on this topic with about Sloman and how his team is going, a player that I know he loves more than anybody had a great showing in Baltimore today. You know who that is, Joe?
A player that Sloman loves?
Mm-hmm. Nelson Aguilar, 5 catches, 63 yards, and a touchdown.
It saddens me that I couldn't think of that. I forgot, Aguilar's time with Philly, the greatest.
And for those of you who may listen to this podcast, this video cast, the inside joke is that Connor is an Eagles fan and he hates Nelson Aguilar with a passion. And to see him kind of be like, I guess, the bright spot in the receiving core for Baltimore today, and they got a win over a now winless Cincinnati Bengals is kind of funny to see. Didn't actually think that he'd be seeing any playing time this year.
Yeah, I want a refund from Cincinnati. I don't know what's going on. I did see that Burrow, there were reports that he re-aggravated that calf injury that he had in the preseason. But, man, have you seen Ja'Marr Chase? Have you heard from him? I don't know.
Not to be considered a top 5 fantasy pick this year. I know his ADP in most leagues was around from 5 to 10. If I'm not wrong. You definitely haven't heard much out of him. Who has Ja'Marr Chase?
So it's funny you mentioned this. Look at Parsons' quarterback and receiver. You would expect so much more out of this duo.
You're hoping for at least 30 to 50 points combined.
Yeah, and this week obviously was much better than last week, but still, Burrow and Chase, that should be an easy 40 every week.
Yep.
So Because imagine if Parson is getting that typical production, he probably it's likely he could have won this week.
Yep. But if all goes the way that I think the rest of us would see this matchup, Olave and that Saints offense right now, they're going to get him the ball, and Nick Chubb is going to do what Nick Chubb's going to do. He's going to break tackles. He's going to run over the Steelers' defense, and he's going to finish easily with 10 to 15 points.
I'll say this: I think Parson got a steal in Mike Evans. He has played very well.
Phenomenal. I think that's a great point to make. I think everybody kind of hit the panic button on Mike Evans because of, I guess, obviously the contract situation with him in Tampa Bay.
Yeah, but the new quarterback Baker Mayfield's had a shaky career, and so no one knows what to expect. But Mike Evans has been way more solid than any of us would have predicted, especially today. I mean,
6 catches, 171.
He went nuclear today because
home run of the day.
Oh yeah, he's been so far steal of the year for me. Just because his ADP 7th, 8th round roughly, when he's every year been like a 3rd or 4th round guy.
Yeah. Well, if Cincinnati can turn it around and they can get it together, Tyler's going to be a force to be reckoned with because, I mean, if Smitty and Mike Evans continue to have those kind of days and then the Burrow and Chase stacks pays off for him, I mean, Parsons looking at having points like this week in and week out. And who's on his bench?
Jahan Gino on his bench. I kind of expected more out of Dalvin. Seeing 1 point there is kind of surprising. I'll tell you what, though, it looks like Parson might be in the market for a running back.
Well,
I've got a slew of them, Parson, if you're listening.
Yeah. I'd be willing to will and deal with you, Parson. What you need.
Yeah, but if Parson gets just an RB2, and I'm not saying Herbert's bad, but I'm sure he would prefer maybe another option.
Mm-hmm.
ATN just had one of those, weird days where, no one in the Jags offense, unless you're Christian Kirk, who had 1 point last week, comes out, gets a 20-plus point performance today. Jags overall just had a rough day. 3 field goals today.
Yeah, and that was a game, that Chiefs-Jags matchup I was watching closely because I obviously have a lot of players from that team, and Calvin I thought would have a great day today. But the Jags offense struggled at home, which was disappointing. But I think that they'll continue to have a good year. I do think that they'll win their division. That is is it Indianapolis that's in their division? If they continue to have success, that's going to be challenging.
I've got $1 for you if you can name the player that scored for the Dolphins just now.
Is it what is it? It's the Croft. Is it the Croft guy?
No, it's not that outlandish. I just, with that offense, you never think there's going to be a rushing touchdown. So
Raheem Mostert. And who has Mostert?
I could not tell you. He's going to be on somebody's bench. Why do I get the feeling it's Skunk? It is Skunk. Boy, Skunk's bench. I'll tell you what, man. He had a pretty solid outing. And, dude, he has not even had Christian Watson yet this year.
Yeah, which when he returns will be their wide receiver number 1.
Yeah, and Jordan Love has looked pretty decent. It was unfortunate they got beat today, but Jordan Love is, he's been solid.
Mm-hmm.
I can't
Skunk,
look
if you end up watching this, I want Nico Collins. So
I can't look at my game anymore. The more I look at it, the more it makes me sick that Russell Wilson's down there. So my game will not be looked at for the rest of the night. We're going to move on.
Well, we can roll into maybe not a fantasy matchup, but maybe talk about a game that happened today. So we had the Seahawks and the Lions facing each other. I think everybody expected Detroit to come away with a win in this game, especially playing at home after beating the defending Super Bowl champions. But they lost an OT today to none other than Seattle, who, as you know, Jeff, is my favorite team. So I was glad to see them get an OT win with a pass to Tyler Lockett.
Yeah, Seattle rebounds. They get back to 1-1, and just looking at the first two games, if you'd have told me, obviously 1-1 would have been, I could have guessed they started that way, but I couldn't have guessed that y'all lose to the Rams and beat the Lions. I thought that might be opposite.
I mean, I think the surprising thing in what you said there is how the Rams are playing so far, and without having Cooper Kupp and the questions surrounding their running backs, how they were going to end up playing, and he's got some targets, man.
Yeah,
Puka Nacua, Tutu Atwell, those guys are killing it.
Yeah, from a PPR perspective, they are, just blowing it away. Especially the dude that I still can't pronounce, Puka. Is that Puka?
Yep.
Whoever.
Looks like Puka, but it's Puka Nacua.
I'm calling Puka.
So, I mean, if I'm Robbie, who is an LA Rams fan, I'm feeling pretty good about this LA Rams team. I was really thinking they would not be too great this year, but they played who I think is going to be a Super Bowl contender in the San Francisco 49ers. I think our division is turning out to be better than what a lot of people thought. San Fran, the Rams, the Seahawks, and then you've got the Arizona Cardinals.
Yeah, they
obviously
been pretty
division.
Competitive. Speaking of the Rams, did you see the slick move that McVay did today?
No, what did he do?
So, it's 30-20. The game's over. The Rams do have the ball and they're driving, but there's 3 seconds left. And the line today for this game closed at 7.5. San Francisco was favored by 7.5. And then McVay decides to kick a field goal with no time left, and the game ends, and they only lose by 7. So the Rams technically today, they covered the line because of that. Call it a random decision to make that kick.
Oh, man.
So if you're a 49ers fan, or if you had the 49ers,
spread
covering, just take the rest of the year off.
Yeah, just take a seat.
But you're right. The Rams, so far, despite all the, question marks and, especially with Cooper Kupp being on IR to start the year, they have been very competitive and much more so than anyone would have thought.
Well, something maybe we can talk about just a little bit for all of our fantasy peeps out there. So can we talk about just some of the key players that are injured kind of across the board and who, if they are on our team, we should kind of be watching out for, either going on to the injury report or maybe coming off of it this upcoming week?
Yeah, I feel like the easiest thing to do, because it seems that anyone that Broyles has been hurt, whether it's Kelsey or Barkley. He seems to carry all the injury designations, so we'll just start here.
Yeah. Not like it affected him. I still took a loss.
We'll see what happens with Barkley. Doesn't appear to be the best news, but certainly not worst case scenario. I don't know how you feel, but it seems to me like Eckler should be back next week.
A high ankle sprain, and coming from somebody who personally dealt with a lot of ankle troubles, you can get through this with some rehab and a couple of weeks. I don't know. Are they just a Saturday game this upcoming week? They're not the Monday night game, are they?
Yeah, I think they're just the regular, they got a Sunday game.
Okay. Yeah, I see Eckler coming back. That's just an assumption. I haven't read any official reports, but I would see Eckler coming back, probably to a limited role, which makes me think about keeping Joshua Kelly in my lineup, regardless of what happened today. I say that, but I have Aaron Jones coming back, so maybe not. But still, for those of you out there who may have Joshua Kelly, you could still, I think, be confident in the fact that Joshua Kelly's still going to see some reps. There's no way they just throw Eckler back in there and give him 20 plus carries.
Yeah, I agree. Kelly, is just there's no reason to get discouraged and just drop him off to waivers. I would continue to roster him, stash him.
Yeah,
Especially if Eckler misses extended time, he's gonna be the guy. So you can't just get frustrated and just drop him. So just if you've got some options, just look around, see what's on the waiver wires this week. If you feel like you've got a better option somewhere else, certainly give that a go. But I would ride with Kelly until Eckler returns.
definitely. So I'm kind of looking over this Tampa Bay and Chicago game today. Man, it's just so surprising to see Tampa Bay start out 2-0. I still can't believe that.
Yeah.
And doesn't Dylan or Skunk have Rashad White?
Yeah, he does. He 19 points from Rashad White today.
And he's gonna continue to get that kind of production. I don't know how many carries Rashad had in total. Let's see, 17 carries, 73 on the ground, and a score.
Yeah,
And
not to
that's
mention he had 5 catches.
gosh, yeah. I mean, so he's being included in the passing game as well. So I mean, he's got a really nice 1-2 punch at running back.
Yeah, he sure does.
And it looks like I need to have a little bit more faith in DJ Moore. 6 catches, 104. He finally had a good game today, and I'm sure the game plan going into that was to get him more involved as he came out of last week with only 2 catches.
How you feel about Justin Fields so far this year?
He had 2 picks today, man. I don't know. I feel like I didn't see the interceptions. I can only assume that just based off of the troubles they're having, that there may be some offensive line struggles. Seems to be a running theme just in football in general right now.
Yeah, tell you
I would
what.
not feel good to have any Chicago Bears running back right now. I tell you that. Khalil Herbert, 7 carries, 35 yards. Let's see. What did Roshan Johnson finish? 4 carries, 32 yards. So
One of Justin Fields' picks, they were inside their own 5-yard line, tried to check it down to a running back, and the defensive end just reached up, snagged it, and they pushed the pile and ended up being a pick 6.
You know who scored for Chicago today that was getting absolutely blasted after week 1?
That would be Claypool.
Chase Claypool, folks.
Yep.
I would
week,
not bank on that happening very often, but that was surprising.
No, I would not either. Hang on a second, Cameron. I'm going to try something.
Yeah.
I want you to see this. Oh, that's way too. Where is okay? Sorry, 1 second. I want you to see this play.
Yeah.
This is the pick 6 from today.
Wow, this is such a cool part about this platform. It is lagging heavily, but oh my gosh, I can still tell what's happening.
Yeah, they got a replay of it, but
is that Shaquille Barrett?
Yeah, it's Barrett.
No way. He just sticks his hand out. Oh man. Well, guys, don't sleep on Tampa Bay this year.
Yeah.
Baker is feeling dangerous, as he says.
Yeah, evidently so.
Well, let's see. Let's look at defense right here. Just some numbers for what they've got. Ryan Neal came away with 8 tackles. Jamel Dean, 7 tackles. They had 6 team sacks today. 10 QB hit. So I mean, they were able to apply a lot of pressure to Justin Fields today, which is, I mean, probably paints the picture of why he had 2 picks if he's getting pressured that heavily.
I'm starting to think, and I've been sitting here wondering, like, all year last year, Justin Fields was just outrunning defenses, but at least so far this year, it seems like teams have adjusted to him. So that's kind of part of it. We see this often with, QBs who have a lot of success early in their career, especially those that, do extend plays with their legs. And you just wonder how much film the coaches have gotten a hold of, and they're able to sort of limit his ability to extend those plays and, hit those home runs.
Yep. How happy are you if you're a Commanders fan and you see Sam Howell playing the way that he's playing right now?
It's in camp they were really raving about Sam Howell, and based on people around that camp, it came as no surprise to them that they named Howell the starter, and it seems as though they knew what they were talking about. 2-0
Yep.
start. They go to Denver today. They win a just crazy afternoon game. Put up 35 points. Brian Robinson was huge in his contributions. McLaurin found the end zone. So I'm not ready to buy into it yet, but the Commanders do seem to have some very, very good pieces around that team. And Chase Young made his first appearance this year after battling some injuries, past couple of years. So we'll see what the Commanders do and moving forward. But yeah, 2-0 start. Oh, I'm sure they are super excited.
Yeah, and then on the other end for Denver, I mean, it was a shootout. This was 68 total points scored in this game, and the Broncos had 399 total yards of offense compared to the Commanders' 388, so only 11 yards total in difference there, leaning Denver's way. You would think if you have nearly 400 total yards of offense that you walk away with a win, but it's the turnovers. Washington had 0 turnovers. I'm assuming, I know Russell threw at least 1 interception, so that means that there was a fumble on the ground as well.
Mm-hmm. Just to kind of go back to what your point of it being a shootout, 68 total points. The over was 38 and a half.
I see that. On ESPN, it was 39.
Okay, yeah. I was looking at Yahoo. They had it.
Yahoo, yeah.
But regardless, both teams nearly outscored the line on their own. So
Oh man, and I feel like with some of these games, it's definitely a matchup thing. But do we see Washington continuing to score like they have been doing?
well,
See, what did they do in week 1?
Next week will be interesting. So they are back at home. They are hosting Buffalo,
Who had a very good defensive showing. So you would almost assume that the offensive production kind of slows down when you're playing a really good Buffalo Bills team.
Yeah.
And then the following week at Philadelphia, Jeff.
Oh yeah, that's the following week at Philly. Boy, that'll be a next week's a test. Next 2 weeks are just brutal for the Commanders. So I would say they're pretty fortunate to escape with a win today, being 2-0. Because being the betting man that I am, I'm willing to say they're going to be 2-2 after that trip to Philly.
Yep, heading into Chicago week 5, probably getting a win against Chicago if things continue to play out the way that they are right now. Playing a really good Falcons team on the road, playing what seems to be a bad New York Giants team. I mean, I know that they came back for that win, but I'm still not impressed. And maybe that's crappy for me to say because at the end of the day, they got to win. And in this league, just to put a dub on the board is huge. So don't want to take that away from them either.
No, you're right. Any win on any of these weeks is huge, no matter who you're going up against. So, and plus being down 28-7 in the third, that showed, incredible resilience. So, who knows? That could be the spark that the Giants needed to really get things going in the right direction.
Yep. Well, do you want to talk a little bit more about this Saints and Panthers matchup? Heading into this Monday night game, Bryce started with 2 picks. This is at home for Carolina, though. I feel like he has a better game this time around.
Yeah, I would imagine he's a little bit more comfortable in front of the home crowd. Saints coming in as a 3-point favorite. Yahoo's got the over under at 39.5.
Mm-hmm. I know
Saints.
you probably don't want him to have a good game. It's like you do, but you don't.
Yeah, it's just like one of those things where, like, if he can throw for like 200 and just get no picks and sack 10 times, I'm fine with that.
Yeah. And what I mean by that, guys, just as clarification, we're obviously both Alabama fans. We want Bryce Young to perform well as an Alabama fan, and obviously getting to see Bryce Young drafted, first round, first pick to Carolina was really cool. So we want him to be able to excel and have a really good career in Carolina, and that could happen in week 2 against the Saints. But if you're Jeff Dodd, you don't want that to happen.
Nope. Any other week, I'm hoping Bryce just goes out there and kills it. But tomorrow night, and see, this is just me talking like I've got a chance to win my fantasy matchup, knowing I don't. But I'm just not willing to give up yet. So I just need Bryce to just wait one more week for his coming out party. Go out, throw for 400 yards, 4 touchdowns next week, not tomorrow. Sorry, not tomorrow.
Well, if we could only have our cake and eat it too, Jeff.
Oh, don't chest me on that. I'll go get a piece of cake right now.
Well, to kind of continue to talk about the stats for this game, here's something that's interesting. So Jamal Williams and Miles Sanders in week 1 both had 18 carries.
Okay.
So in terms of production, you can kind of hope for at least 15 to 20 carries from both of these guys. With neither one of them touched the 100 mark. Actually, both of them finished with less than 75 yards each.
They sure did.
Yeah.
And Miles Sanders coughed it up one time. He had a fumble that was lost.
Yeah. So we want to see if you've got Miles Sanders on your team, you want to see him hold on to the ball this week.
Big for Mr. Burleson as he is. Boy, that Dolphins Patriots game has really stalled out a little bit. It's almost halftime. It's still just kind of 10-0. That's solid for the Dolphins, but I'm sure Sloman's loving this. It's really just kind of quietened a little bit since that early 8 points that Waddle was able to get.
Well, something that's interesting? I just realized I'm kind of watching this game in Gamecast right now. I'm not watching it live, but Devontae Parker is back on the field for New England.
Yeah, looks like he's had back-to-back catches this drive. He's got 3 for 27 overall this game.
He's actually got 4 for 34.
Oh, yeah, you're right. That just updated.
So he's got an additional catch on the game. You've got Mostert with a score. Jalen's the big performer in the receiving core as we speak. Go ahead, Jeff. Sorry.
No, I was just real quick. Hang on, Cameron. Hey, Bob, can you get Stevenson more involved, please? That'd be great. Thanks, Bob. Yeah, I need Ramondre. Like, I swear, no matter where I go, it seems like our old Bill O'Brien will not just. He's not a good person.
Well, if you can get him back on the phone and tell him to just make sure that he involves Hunter Henry in that offense and just continue just to dump it right there in the red zone, that'd be awesome.
Yeah, Bill, I got a request for Hunter Henry. Maybe just one to him and the rest to Ramondre. Thank you. All right. Yep, I told him. You're good.
All right, sweet. So we're covered there, guys. Looking to see New England score a little bit after a phone call from Jeff. He is a very important person. So it looks like with the time of possession in this game, it's pretty split down the middle. New England's leading that by just like a little over a minute. 14.5 for them, 13.5 for Miami. You've got Patriots with a turnover already this game. Both are pretty even in terms of first downs, gained this game. see.
Yeah,
And they're at the 2 minute mark. Got to go and a half.
Mac's been pretty efficient, 14 to 17. It's just it seems like all the throws are coming around the line of scrimmage. 14 completions for just 95 yards.
Yep.
So nothing deep. Um, just keeping it simple.
So, unless you have anything else, Jeff, maybe we can, as just one last ditch effort, to talk about where we see our fantasy managers kind of finishing for the week.
Yeah.
And then we can talk about any last thoughts and maybe wrap it up. Coming up on close to an hour and a half this episode.
Yeah. So just, like we've sort of touched on throughout all these different matchups, we believe that there's only going to be one team out there after week 2 that will remain undefeated. Whether that's Trey or Kevin, we'll find out for sure on the Monday night games. But everybody else should be 1-1, and then that just leaves potentially Jonas as the only 0-2, assuming that Tyreek Hill is able to get 6 more points. So as the commissioner, I'm really excited about that because that just shows that we're going to have an ultra competitive year. Everyone's going to be really active. So I'm really looking forward to seeing how things go down the stretch.
Yep. This is going to be such a competitive league down the stretch, and it doesn't look like right off the bat that there's really anybody that's going to run away with it. There's definitely some teams with some heavy talent, but that's going to make it competitive all year long.
Yeah, and week to week it can flip. Some weeks you'll see some teams have those monster weeks, and next week they just don't have the players. They don't come out. They're not able to really get going. Not looking at anybody specifically, but if you look over here at this week 1 biggest blowout, you put up, the team that did this. I'm not sure who that is, but they had 157, and then this week, where are they at? I think they're at 90, so they could actually wind up with the lowest total this week. Not mentioning names, it's just that's how it goes. It's a roller coaster,
That's how the cookie crumbles, my friend. You hope that team and that fantasy manager can wake up the next day and not pull his hair out and bounce back with a week 3 victory, but we wish him the best.
Yeah, certainly do. I want everyone to do well. We'll just see what happens in week 3, but a good week 2 overall. Like we said, majority of the league's going to be 1-1. But yeah, so far so good, and a lot of matchups will come down to tomorrow night's 2 Monday night games. So
yeah,
looking forward to seeing who actually is 2-0, and we do have a lot of mixed 1-1 teams. From like what that would be from teams 2 to 11 would be 1-1 basically.
Yep, Kevin being the one sitting at the top, 2-0, which I admittedly did not expect, but kudos to you, Kevin.
Assuming George at 14.
Connor may squeak out with a win if we don't see the offense pick up in the second half of this game, because 10-3 is not what I was expecting after watching both of these teams play in week 1, but that just shows that this is a really defensive game so far.
Yeah. Game scripts can be, different if they really are trying to blanket Tyreek and just mix coverage looks for Tua. It can, maybe slow things down a little bit.
Yep. Well, any last thoughts, Jeff, or anything that you want to go over before we wrap up week number 2?
Yeah, I was just going to mention, if I had to take a guess, I'm going to roll with the Saints tomorrow night. I think they get it done over Carolina. The other game's tough. Not having Amari Cooper will make things more interesting, and I think not solely because of that, but I think I'm going to take the Steelers over the Browns.
Yeah, I agree with you on that matchup. I see Pittsburgh coming away with the win in that game, and that Pitt's playing at home, right?
Correct.
Yeah, I mean that's just one extra thing on their side. So I definitely see them coming away with a win, and I'm gonna go against what you said originally with the Saints and the Panthers game, I'm gonna say take the underdog in this matchup and say that Carolina comes away with a home victory against New Orleans, and that offense has a better showing, and maybe that defense steps up to the task. I do think that's the unlikely thing to happen. In the back of my head, it's I'm thinking Saints, but
You're
I'm gonna
just
go out
doing
on a limb.
copy.
I think so. We've gotta mix it up and make it a little bit more exciting here. So I'm gonna see how this game plays out tomorrow. But
I get it. You don't want me to win my fantasy matchup. That's fine.
well, it's because I'm not winning mine. I'm just kidding.
No, I
Um,
get it. That's fine.
we're gonna
I'm
bounce.
sure when
I'm
we
gonna bounce
play,
back. We'll be good. We'll be good. Well, to cap things off, you know, this is us switching up platforms. So, we really like what we, I think, saw with this particular platform. So we'll be moving forward with this. I'll also be getting a mic and some other things to kind of help improve the quality of, maybe some audio and mixing up some things background wise so it's not so dull and boring in the background. But any suggestions or advice to help improve what we're doing is greatly appreciated. For those of you that do watch, thank you for watching. I know that this was an hour and a half, very long episode, but me and Jeff, I don't want to speak for you, Jeff, but I really enjoy doing this. I hope that we can get the support of at least our league watching it, and hopefully we can kind of grow it from there. But yeah, really thankful to be a part of this with you, Jeff. Having a blast so far. I will say, I know I want to be a little bit more strategic with maybe some of the topics that we come up on this show with. But yeah, it's a long season ahead of us. We're going to mix things up. We're going to keep it exciting for you guys. And more importantly, we're going to dig into the numbers. We're going to go over targets and catches, and we're going to try to give everybody all the information that they need to make the best decisions for their team. And I think coming here to this particular podcast with us will benefit you. It seems like we've made some pretty good calls after week one. So hoping that maybe some of the things that we said in week two resonated and maybe put you guys in a better position.
And real quick, I did want to add one thing. So for tonight's episode, this was just sort of a trial run since we are working on this new platform. So unfortunately, we were not able to get any live callers or any, visitors for this one. But Tuesday, is that the plan, Cam? We're going to do another one on Tuesday, or is this going to be the one and only for this upcoming week?
Originally I had said that we should make this a once a week kind of thing, but because of my love for what we're doing and kind of what we're starting and just kind of our obsession over it, if there's a week where we can run 2 episodes, I think that is what we're going to try to do. But if not, at least 1 episode every week, and ideally right before waiver wire hits. Okay. So yeah, I think Tuesday is a solid night to do it. That's always a slow day for me work wise, and gives me the chance to do my research. And
I'm fine with that. I was just sitting here thinking that because I don't know about you, but I kind of liked this platform a lot better. Just the ability to, have a live view, and then we're able to share screens, and we're able to, document a lot of what we're talking about, and it gives the viewers a chance to, as we're sitting here going through these matchups, we're able to give that visual, and they're able to, follow along and keep up. So
that way, you're not just staring at us the whole time. Us looking at you, me looking at Jeff, looking back at me. I'm sure looking at my ugly face and this nice mustache that I've got going on right now is not what you want to see the whole time. So,
what I'm looking forward to is that here in the next day or so, we're going to be able to get callers in and have some back and forth with our viewers. And I was thinking, it'd be really good to get like someone like Max in here so he can just constantly tell you to, shut up.
I would love it. Number one, Max dipped on fantasy because he can't take the heat. So he quickly exited the kitchen. And it is what it is. You know, Max has lost his competitive edge. He doesn't have it like he used to. And that's okay. You know, he takes a lot of L's, especially in NHL. And Jeff, I know you can speak speak for me on that.
Well, I can't wait to clip that and send those to him.
Max catching strays. Maybe that will interest him enough to kind of start watching. And that's what I sort of want this to be. I want to have some takes on here that really fires you guys up and makes you want to call us so that we can have a little back and forth action. But on top of that, I think that on a genuine note, outside of me just being a competitive butthead, to have a caller on and kind of diving into this material. It was really fun with Slowman, somebody that actually listened to the podcast, and I'm not going to throw out names, mentioned bringing on Slowman as a third because they thought that he fit really well into what we're doing. But either way, I welcome anytime somebody wants to call in, even if you're calling in twice and we don't have anybody that wants to step up and do it. I would welcome it. But if we kind of have people lining up to want to call in every week, then we're going to have to sort of appointment style schedule it out and choose what caller we're putting on one week. So if you do want to be involved in this, reach out to me and Jeff. It'd be cool if you, whether you want to do it in the Know the Game group text or just reach out to me and Jeff personally, we'll come up with a system or at least a schedule to what week you're going to be on the call. So yeah, super excited about this. Love it. Want to get into some heated debates. Anything else that you got, Jeff?
No, just we will let everyone know when our next episode is going to come out. We're going to work on the website a little bit or on this platform, make sure we have everything that we need so that we can include everybody. And we'll let you all know as soon as possible once we get those plans narrowed down.
Yep. And another thing that we do have the ability to do with this is to share it with multiple social media platforms. And I know YouTube is a really easy one to search and to watch that way. So I don't know, as far as like sharing it, via email or text, if it's easier to watch it through Riverside or if it's just going to be easiest for us to put all of our content on YouTube once we kind of record here. But as Jeff mentioned, we're going to select an option on this platform that allows us to live stream, I believe, so that you can watch it as we're speaking and call in and have those debates or just kind of add your 2 cents to it.
Yep, exactly.
All right, perfect, guys. Well, you want me to do the honors, Jeff, or do you want to wrap us up?
You take it away.
All right, guys. Well, that ends week number 2 for Know the Game podcast / videocast now. Looking forward to a long NFL season. And yeah, we'll catch up with you guys after Monday's matchup, and we'll talk all the waiver wire targets, who you should be looking at dropping, picking up, etc. And hoping that we see some more points in this, what seems to be a dull Miami and New England game right now. So
yeah,
y'all have a great night. Jeff, thank you for being on here. Appreciate what you do.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I will see you guys this upcoming week.
Yep.
Signing off.